Let's go to Bill O'Reilly on the Glenn Beck program. Hello, Bill.
Beck, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm all right.
Okay. Bill, it has been an interesting week. I don't even know where we should begin. I guess we could either start with Woodward or Kavanaugh. Which do you prefer?
I think Kavanaugh is the more important story for your listeners, so why don't we start with him?
Okay, let's go. Kavanaugh is, in my opinion, a guy who, he's teaching at a Jesuit school, so I'm not sure, the Jesuits are letting somebody in that I'm always comfortable with to teach students, so I'm not sure that you're going to get a better pick more right down the center of America than Kavanaugh, and the left is acting as if you're putting and Moses up there who is going to say no, it's only these 10 laws. What's happening?
Well, I think this is instructive in two ways. Number one, that most Americans don't follow the Supreme Court. They don't watch the hearings. They don't know who Kavanaugh is. They don't know why he's important. This is most of the folks. Now, the news people listen to this radio program, come to my website, BillO'Reilly.com. They know. And they know that for the past 20 years that the culture has changed dramatically. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So why has the culture changed dramatically? Why now can't we speak about things and not being without being accused of being a racist or a homophobe or all of that? So the PC culture has enveloped every American. You say one word out of line, you can lose your job, you can be attacked. Anything can happen. And that didn't used to be the case. You can't tell a joke. You can't disagree with anything. If somebody wants you to bake a cake and you don't really like what the cake is going to be used for, you have to bake the cake or go to the Supreme Court and spend $1 million. So this is what it is. And this is why people need to pay attention, because all of this happened through the courts, not in Congress. All of this change in the culture was imposed on the American citizen by judges, many of whom are activist liberal judges. Because the conservative movement, all they want to do is keep the status quo. They're not looking to impose anything. So in gay marriage, they just said, well, we really don't like gay marriage because we feel that marriage is a sacrament and should be only between man and woman. We want to keep it that way. No. You can't do that. So now with Trump putting forth two moderate traditional judges, they're not conservative bomb throwers. They're moderate traditional judges. This trend is likely to stop. This PC imposition on every American is likely to stop. That's why you're seeing these people in the chamber screaming, screeching, and you're seeing the far left Democrats on the Judiciary Committee doing everything they can to stop it, because they know that the PC culture, the progressive culture, is not going to be able to progress through Congress. It never has. It's now going to stall, and that's what this is all about.
Okay, may I present a different take, slightly different take, and get your thoughts on it? I think there are things that are happening right now, and you have to divide them really kind of into four groups. You have the real, true postmodernist Marxist groups, the the head of the snake here, the Linda Sarsours, that are out of step with almost everyone except those postmodernist markets that want Marxists that want to destroy reason, destroy the West, divide and conquer. Those people are very clear, and they, I would agree, want to stop anyone. Kavanaugh, doesn't matter who it is. Unless you're a postmodernist Marxist, they're going to scream and yell. But part of their reason for doing that is they need the chaos and the anger. Well, that's when you get in the next group. The next group are the politicians that are using those people. They think they're using them, but it's the opposite way around. They've been using those people for fuel to get people to rally around the Democrats or a politician. And so they're using the legitimate postmodern anger, and they are using that to try to get elected. The media is just doing it because they're with one of those groups, and they get ratings out of it, which leaves the average Democrat. Do you believe that that there is a growing number of average Democrats that are not into 183 genders? They're not into, there is no truth. They're not into any of this. And they're not the kind that, like to sit in a room and be told, sit down, shut up, you're going to listen to us for a while. Those people are starting to peel away, or will start to peel away. Agree or disagree?
I don't know what the numbers are about those people. I think younger American Democrats are happy with the radicalization of the party. They have been raised in a sense of entitlement. They want the government to give them things. I'm generalizing, of course. But 45 and down, I think they're happy that we have Elizabeth Warren saying, hey, I'm going to pay for everything in your life.
Correct.
The older Democrats, I think, maybe fed up with it, but their problem is that the Republican Party has been demonized to the extent that they say, well, where am I going to go?
Correct.
Do I go to Trump? He's the devil. So I'm not sure the numbers there are going to be significant.
Okay. Let's go to Bob Woodward's book.
Yeah.
Bob Woodward, do you think he's a credible source?
I do. I've known him a long time. I've had him on my programs dozens of times. His reporting of Watergate was honest, but I wrote a column about how he did this. I don't know how much time we have before Stu has to go to the men's room.
I've got about 2 minutes here.
Okay.
Had a big water this morning.
Let me give you the outline of it. You walk into a publisher's office, and you know this better than anyone because you're an author. You say, I want to write a book on this. Give me $5 million. In Woodward's case, it's $10 million. The publisher says yes or no. It's got to be a sharply focused book. This is what I want to do. So Woodward says, I'm going to do a book on Trump and the chaos within the Trump administration. Simon & Schuster hands him the check. Then he goes out. Now, he can't come back 6 months later and go, you know what? I didn't find that. I found that there's a lot of good things going on in the Trump administration. He can't do it. All right? He's got to stick to his original plan. So he casts a wide net in Washington, and he knows everybody. Who doesn't like Trump? Who's disenchanted inside the administration? And the names come back. And he starts to call them. And every single one of them say, well, you can't use my name. This is deep background, Beck. Deep background. No name. So then he writes down what they say or records what they say, and then he says, Woodward says, how can I verify this? And they say, well, call my cousin Lenny. I told him exactly the same thing on the day it happened. Here's Lenny's number. And then he calls Lenny, and Lenny goes, oh, yeah, I remember something like that. Verification. And then they put it in the book.
Well, what is the difference between these, unnamed sources, and Deep Throat?
Specificity. Because you were basically, what Woodward and Bernstein were reporting on in Watergate were very specific allegations that Nixon was ordering payments to people, paying people to shut up.
Right, but this is
an illegal action.
But so and I know you know this book is not about an investigation on Russia. No. It's about how is this administration operating, or at least at the time.
That's right. And I'm glad you brought that up, Beck, because when we come back from break, I will tell you why Trump is handling this all wrong, and how this book could help him if he could figure it out, which he never will because he don't listen to anybody.
Which is in the book. Okay, we'll be back with Bill O'Reilly in just a second. Welcome to the program. Bill O'Reilly is here now to tell us how Donald Trump should handle the Woodward book.
Yeah, I just can't understand why, because as you know, I've known Trump for so long, why he just cannot step back for a second and see that he has helped Woodward, that he helps people that he attacks in tweets. Okay? First of all, who cares about the Woodward book, Beck? Who? Do you care about it?
No.
All right. Stu, of course, doesn't care about it. I don't care about it.
Well, wait, hang on just a second. Let's go a little deeper on that. The reason why is because there's nothing new here. I got it.
That's right.
There's nothing new.
What am I going to learn from 423 pages of Trump bashing?
Right.
Nothing. And I was just going to say that, so thank you for speeding me up.
Yeah.
All right. So Trump supporters, they don't care about the book. There's not one of them going to buy it. It's like Amarosa's book, right? The people who hate Trump, they already know that they hate him. So a few people in D.C. will buy the book. It'll get some publicity. It's like
it's going to be a big
guy's book. But
it's going to be a big book. It won't
be I don't think it's going to sell that well in the long run. I don't think it's going to have legs. I really don't.
Yeah,
there's too many of them.
It may not. It may not have the legs that a book like this would have had in the past.
5 years ago, because there's too many of them.
Yeah.
How many times are you going to have to read the same thing?
Yeah, it's not.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm usually not, as you know. Okay, so nobody cares really about this book in the sense that it matters to anybody's life. So Trump, that's number one. Okay, do we have it, Mr. President? No one cares. Okay. Number two, after all this interviews and all of these people trashing Trump from within his own organization, none of them tell Woodward, hey, Trump admitted that he and Vlad Putin were vacationing in the Maldives talking about the campaign. I heard him say that. Okay? Not one mention of any collusion with the Russians or anything. Now, if I'm Trump, that's what I latch on to. All right? So here's the best reporter, investigative reporter. The establishment says he's the best in the world. He comes out with a 400-page book. There's no mention of this. Okay? That's the headline. But no. Trump's got to go, this is all made up. It isn't made up. Woodward's not going to do that. He's not going to make it up. He's got tape recordings of talking to people, and they're saying whatever they say. I mean, guy's not stupid. So anyway, there you go, Beck. And I don't understand why the White House isn't smarter at this point in history.
Bill, this is a great example of it, I think, today, in that, you have all of these stories and all the controversy and all the back and forth. And by the way, the unemployment rate came out today. It's 3.9%. Does that get any traction at all? Do the American people even know that?
Well, the stock market didn't. It went down. So I think that's built in again, that the economy is good. Trump will campaign on that, of course. I think he did a 7-hour speech last night in Montana. I think he's still speaking, by the way, about, how good the economy is. Right. I heard, though, that he's going to start demanding everybody comb their hair the way he does. That's next.
I don't think that's possible.
I don't think that's
You know what's amazing, Bill, is the guy who cuts his hair. That is everybody wants to know. I mean, how does that work, et cetera, et cetera. That guy is a complete unknown. I think he made Donald Trump sign a non-disclosure saying you can never tell anyone I'm the guy who cuts your hair.
He doesn't want to be tied. Well, he had a haircut last night. That's why I bring it up. It's funny that Fox News carries the whole speech. Yeah. And they basically say, look, this is great because
quickly
none of you people have to come to work today. But they lose sponsor time because they don't cut the break.
Mm-hmm. Back in a minute.
Exclusive from Real Clear Investigations just came out. Paul Sperry writes this. The FBI omitted from its application to spy on Carter Page the fact that Russian spies had dismissed the former Trump campaign advisor, Carter Page, as unreliable, or, as one put it, an idiot, and therefore unworthy of recruiting, according to congressional sources who have seen the unredacted document. The potentially exculpatory detail was also withheld from 3 renewals of the wiretap warrant before a special government surveillance court. The warrants issued by the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act court allowed the FBI to spy on Page and others he was in contact with for almost a year. The FBI was aware of the Russian skepticism that Page knew nothing of value. It was a significant player because the Bureau had recorded them voicing such doubts. Uh-oh. Thank you for handing me that, Taylor. It just came out. Okay. But if Carter Page, I interviewed him, I knew in 3 minutes that Carter Page was not possible of colluding with anybody. God bless him. He seems like a really nice person. Carter Page is like the big hub of the wheel with Russia. Preposterous. But as these details start to drip out, the resistance gets more. We got to do something. We need another insurance policy. Anonymous, help us. You be anonymous. No. You be anonymous. I'm not being anonymous. You go to your friend who knows a friend who knows a friend at the New York Times. No. You do it. They got somebody to write this piece. I've buried it in my pile of stuff, Taylor. What did I do with the actual anonymous piece? I don't even know where it is. There's a couple of funny lines. I probably should. Oh, thank you. Taylor has this. Taylor really needs to go to law school because she has this thing highlighted like I used to have my law school assignments. It's like tabbed, highlighted. I love it. Taylor, you'd get an A in constitutional law. He says of his column, this isn't the work of the so-called deep state. It's the work of the steady state. This column, he's saying. Given the instability many witnessed, there were early whispers within the cabinet of invoking the 25th Amendment. Early whispers. Now, what could that be? Some cabinet official getting pissed off saying, yeah, if only we could do the 25th Amendment here. Because then the cabinet official didn't have to argue with the president on a point, right? Just impose what the cabinet official wants. But no one wanted to precipitate a constitutional crisis. So we will do what we can to steer the administration in the right direction until, one way or another, it's over. The writing is so florid. This is it's so over the top, the language in this column. I can't even believe that. It may be cold comfort in this chaotic era, but Americans should know that there are adults in the room. We fully recognize what is happening, and we are trying to do what's right, even when Donald Trump won't. There is a quiet resistance within the administration of people choosing to put country first. But the real difference will be made by everyday citizens, rising above politics, reaching across the aisle, and resolving to shed the labels in favor of a single one: Americans. It's just bad writing. This is like cheesy. This is like Harlequin romance of column writing. I can't wait to talk to Craig Shirley. He's going to be coming up later on. Mercedes Schlapp, White House Director of Strategic Communications, she's going to be joining us. I cannot wait to hear what Mercedes says about this fraud of a traitor inside the White House or wherever. Let's go to Rick on line 3 from the great state of Arizona. Rick.
Hello, Laura. My first thought on this was they've tried everything they can to push this president out, and what they've finally come up with is a basic rule of warfare: divide and conquer. How many people are walking around the West Wing today looking over their shoulder with suspicion at other people, when it may not even be anybody in the White House who wrote that?
That's a good point. I mean, again, we're arguing or speculating about something that has no name on it. So we can't judge the intentions, the motivations, the credibility. We have to take the New York Times vetting process as the gold standard. So you people must rely on the New York Times to vet this. Oh, it's all kosher. We've vetted it. Remember all the things that the New York Times supposedly vetted, including editors, major editors who turned out to be disasters, or people who are columnists who are plagiarists? Excuse me if I'm not bowled over by the New York Times imprimatur of great vetting.
For them to be lying about this, for them to put out an anonymous op-ed that nobody exists behind it, you realize what a miscarriage of journalism that would be.
Yes. So you're asking me, do I trust the New York Times? Do I know what they did here? I don't. But do I trust the New York Times? I'm sorry, Chris. I know this shocks you. I do not trust the New York Times.
Oh, I can't agree more. Why would you? But nobody does. Nobody's trusting these, and I think that gets them frustrated. And another point, I think Raymond Arroyo raised this. The New York Times wants to sell papers. And I have to say at the same time, I do want to be fair. There are some things the New York Times does really well. They do some reporting that is actually great. But not on Trump. Trump is just the Trump reporting is just get Trump. And the stuff they're pushing, they always push a social agenda that's way outside the mainstream. But they do some investigations which are fantastic. And every now and then, there's international reporting that I think is top notch. So I got to be fair about that. They've done stuff on China that's been great, that I've really enjoyed reading. But this stuff is just this is beyond juvenile. We're going to take a break. I'm way over. 855-40-LAURA. More sparks, more fireworks at the Kavanaugh hearing. Minnie Mouse is now questioning Kavanaugh and the chairman of the committee. Who's Minnie Mouse? Well, you can't have listened to the show for years if you don't know who that is. Don't go away. Cory Booker, let's listen.
There is clearly a rule that applies. Then apply the
Mr.
rule
Chairman,
and bring the charges.
Mr. Chairman, all of us are ready to face that rule on the bogus designation of committee confidential. Just because there is a Senate rule doesn't mean it can be misapplied or misconstrued or misused. And I think even the threat raised by one of my colleagues here is unfortunate. And that is a kind way of putting it, with all due respect. And I would just make one other point. We're dealing here with a lifetime appointment. Nothing we do here is more serious than confirming a justice on the United States Supreme Court. Let the American people appreciate that we are here in the most solemn responsibility we have under the Constitution. We need the full truth, just as this nominee is sworn to give it to us We are entitled to it from our colleagues. And the question is, what are they concealing?
Oh, what are they concealing? And no one cares, Richard Blumenthal, and wants to take credit at the same time for the tax cut and for the economy. So the deep state inside the White House or wherever this is, they want to take credit for the good stuff and tell you, oh, if not for us, you'd really be in trouble, American people. You should thank us, merry band of internal resistance members. Joining us now, Mercedes Schlapp, who's the White House Director of Strategic Comms Communications, and she's all over this issue. She joins us now. Mercedes, great to talk to you. I've been dying to get your perspective. And I've now just started laughing at all of this.
I've been dying to get your perspective, Laura. Come on. That's why we watch your show every night. I've got my 11-year-old going, Laura really makes so much sense.
Oh,
yes, she does.
I got to hang out with your 11-year-old. Come over to my house. So what's your take on this? I mean, the MSNBC types are saying, oh, the White House in total turmoil over the column. What's the real story?
The real story, and I saw CNN today. I was literally like driving up into the West Wing parking lot, and they're like, White House is in paranoia. And the reality is we are so incredibly focused on what we need to be focused on, which is continually pushing what the president has accomplished thus far when it comes to all of his successes that he's had in terms from the economic perspective to the foreign policy perspective. I mean, this president, between all that he's doing on the trade deals, all that he's doing, I mean, we just saw manufacturing numbers come out from a productivity index. It's the best we've seen in 14 years. There's real success here. But you know this, Laura. You know this. The playbook of these Democrats, it's very clear. This is all their narrative as they're pushing forward, and the media is in cahoots with this. The liberal media is in cahoots with them, which is they want to push this. The president is unfit to be president. They want to impeach him. This has been happening. This whole narrative has been pushed out since the day the president won the election. And so now you have anonymous, coward, gutless, ridiculous loser source out there, basically that the New York Times decided, oh, yes, let's go publish this op-ed to push forward this narrative of, oh, we have to defend the institution, and we have to be, we can't trust this president and his impulses. I will tell you something, and you know this, Laura. You've been with the president. You've spent time with him. I get to see him almost on a daily basis. Seeing him in action, the ability to even be in the same room when he is making very significant decisions, where he's bringing in advisors from different points of views, and at the end of the day, it is the President of the United States, President Donald J. Trump, who makes a decision and has had more results for our country and for conservatives in this country than any other president than what I can remember, at least till Ronald Reagan's time, is just something that I think this individual, this anonymous source, has no access to and no understanding. And he should resign, and he should leave this administration, because there are men and women every day who leave their families, who sacrifice their lives to come in and serve this president and help the men and women in our country, and are proud